Live, right? Look who is back in the house. So wait. Is this going to be a regular thing?
Can we make it? Can it be a regular thing? Because I agree. 100%. I agree. Yes.
Feeling is mutual.
And you know, we have some fans, like we have some of our regular base fans, and they were like, we loved her.
Yes. So,
I tested well.
Yeah, tested and tried.
I'm telling you, Cherish said something, and then I had a couple of other people that were like, oh my gosh, that's Sammy. I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
They love you. They love you.
So,
where's the clap button? They love you.
Really?
Ooh, I'm scared.
Oh,
no. See, I get it wrong. I got to label these. Here, wait. There we go.
Let's go.
I will get it right one of these days.
Right.
I will. You guys, my name is Leah. I am your host, and I am a God-fearing, action-taking, money-making, manifesting queen.
What?
Yep.
What?
I love it.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's nice.
And my co-host?
What? WHITNEY, period, poos. What? Hi. Welcome back.
Yes. And we have our co-host.
The Coco host.
Yeah. Co-host. That's cute. How do we do that?
They are on fire today,
Introduce
y'all.
yourself, my dear.
This is Sammy Black with a Q, because I'm cool like that.
Yes.
Oh, dang.
Love it.
I love it. I love your name.
Yes.
Oh, I thank you.
No, I really do. I'm like, her name is Sammy Black.
Right. It's like important. It can be like it's something.
And it's with a Q, so it like looks so like chic.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
I gave it to myself.
Yeah,
Like,
I love it.
Yes,
I
like,
love it.
I'm serious, like on some Malcolm X shit. Like, let me.
Yes.
What?
Okay.
I love
Well,
that.
that's a story
No, but
that
it
I
is
need
a
to
story,
hear about.
right.
It is. Okay.
Interesting. So, you know, the last time that Miss Sammy was here, we were talking about relationships. We
Yes.
got kind of deep, Whitney.
Yes, we did get deep. Good.
Did you guys see
night.
the little meme that I put up of Whitney's face?
God. Oh my god.
She was like, "Are we really doing this?"
I don't want to talk about this today.
But you know, it was good stuff.
Yes, it was very
really
good.
stuff.
And you guys fed me a lot, and I learned a lot from just feeding off of you guys from that podcast. So thank you.
welcome.
That was
Yeah.
important.
I love it.
And you guys didn't get to see it, but Sammy freaking prayed with me at the end. It was so beautiful, you guys. You have just no idea. It was that podcast was everything. Yes.
Tears.
That podcast was
I wasn't
everything.
crying.
I didn't cry.
I didn't cry.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm not crying.
I cry all the time. I'm
Yes.
such a crybaby.
Yeah?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I will cry.
I am not as much of a crybaby. I don't think.
No,
I don't think so.
No,
I mean, I
you're
think
not
that-
a crybaby. No.
And I mean, nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, like, I sometimes am like, kind of feel like Trent. Like, can I cry?
Don't even put that on your life. Yuck. Ew.
How you really feel, Whitney?
Shade.
It's really shady in here. The door is covered.
It all.
Yes.
So yeah. Well, you know, we were talking about relationships. It got a little bit deep, you know, but that is the real.
Right.
That
The
is
real
that.
real.
That is that uncovering the real right there.
Yes,
you
it
like how I
is.
did that?
Yes, it is.
Uncovering that
I see
real.
you trying. I see you trying.
So let me, you guys. So you know, again, a couple of things. You know, we talked on, and I don't know the order of these podcasts how they're going to drop, but we just recently talked to Shannon, who is my intern. We brought her on and talked to her a little bit about my thinking about changing the name. And I posted it up on my Boudoir Suite group page. I really wanted my clients' feedback. I wanted to know what they thought. And everybody keeps asking me, why? Why are you struggling? Why are you trying to change the name? Whitney from the gate has been like, no.
Leave it alone.
Leave it alone.
Okay, so we agree then.
I told her.
She told me.
I said, Sammy called me all cute and was like, look, I love you, but I don't like that name.
He was like, do you like it? I was like, no, I don't. You need to leave it alone.
So you guys, so I want to bring it like, okay, now, and I go hard. Okay. So listen, when I get something in my head, Like there is no stopping me. And so Whitney wasn't here to save me that day.
I wasn't here to be like, let's pull the emergency brake.
Like, so guess
think
what?
about this.
So like I looked at all the comments and I was looking at all the feedback and I was like, this person said the real between the sheets. I was like, oh, I kind of like that because it goes back to the real. I told you about that. I love the real. And it's just because first and foremost, I really believe that everything that we need to talk about, we need to always be the realest version of us that we can be.
Yes.
Authentic,
Yes.
And raw, because that gives people the space to do the same thing with you.
Absolutely.
Space. Remember that.
Yes.
Space. Okay.
And so that's why I wanted to tie in the name. And when I think of Between the Sheets, we've gotten hit up by some men that are like, ooh, hey, what's up? Like, is this,
What's
and I'm like, no, baby.
Right. Boundaries.
This is not what this is about.
You about to get uncomfortable.
Yes. And yet that's why Whitney loves it is because it's that. And that's why you kind of said, like, and some of the women said it's a very intriguing name.
Yes.
My mom checked me a little bit and said, hey, do you think that this really is something that, that really is
Right. Is it
kind
deceiving?
Is it deceiving, and is it also a good representation of who God is? And so I kind of told her my take when I was in the bathroom and just really kind of praying on, like, God, like, should I change it now? Because now's the opportunity. Dana's gone.
Right. Shout out
Bye, Dana.
Shout out Dana. She got your shirt
Bye-bye.
on.
Bye.
Oh, I love you, Dana.
Dana,
I
look
love
who's
you.
sitting right here. What? Oh, you're not here no more, are you?
Dana, you're right here with
Dana's
us.
cool though, so
love
I ain't mad at
Dana.
it. Bye,
I
boo.
love him.
Bye, boo.
I love
Bye.
He said he might pay us a visit every once in a while.
I should have had some powder and went like this.
Shade. Dana, and that's your favorite. And that's your favorite. Just saying.
Oh, he knows I love him.
No, so I when Dana left, I was like, this is kind of the perfect opportunity to transition into something new and figure out, do I want to change the name? Is it something, that I want to do? And Whitney, nope, right away. But I prayed about it and God said, you know what, Leah, like you know how to speak to people. Yes. You know how people listen. And he said, so why don't you take it back to the basics? He said, and get between my sheets.
When you had that validation that morning,
know.
I thought that was it.
I know. And I really did too. I really thought it was it. And then yet for some reason or another, I still struggled.
Ooh. Yeah.
And so, but let me tell you, so really quick.
Let's talk about it.
So she was gone. I'm looking at all the comments and I'm like, oh, there's the real again. There's the real again. Okay, I want to tie this in. Somebody was like, the real. And I was like, oh, because I'm always saying for real. And I'm like, hey, for real. So I was like, that's cute, and I just changed everything. I made a poster. I created a QR code. I changed the URL.
I love your energy.
All
You got
done.
so much energy. I love it.
Like the poster's here already. But it's okay. Like everything can be undone.
Oh, yeah,
anything can be undone. Right. Yeah. And so we talked about it again, and we're kind of like settling on Between the Sheets, uncovering the real.
Ooh.
Right. And so it'd be a subtitle off of the title, but the title would remain the same.
Love it. Okay.
You agree?
Yes, I love
agree?
it.
I think
even
yes,
if it's the
I
real, raw, and
told you I've
authentic,
been agreed with that because it
Either way.
brings in what you want. It brings in uncovering the real. It gives a little bit more description, so the Between the Sheets is not confusing.
Yes.
Even though I still feel like people are going to come, and I want them to come with that energy.
Yes.
So you can feel uncomfortable and listen to what we got to say.
Yes. And and it's the thing is that I say, I think each one of us are Christians. I can say that just wholeheartely.
Yes.
But everybody that steps into this room is not, and that's okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like that's absolutely okay. And
Right.
that's where we are, trying to like get different perspectives and really kind of tie some things in here. And I want them to receive something different. Shannon came to me as what she would say was she was unbelieving. And you hear Shannon talk now on a regular basis. She was like, I prayed and God this and this, and I'm like, see,
Her heart's being worked on.
and it is,
man.
you know what I mean? And I
Yes.
love that. Like
Yes.
it's a God thing.
Yes. I love that you're coming from that perspective. You're bringing that energy. Like, that's kingdom work.
Yes.
And we're real women
Yes.
experiencing real circumstances in real life.
Yes.
100%.
And I don't
Yes.
like
modern women.
I do not like. So there was a conversation with Nando's cousin. And I'm going to put him on blast right now.
I love it because I love that you had that conversation with him, and that's why I like the name.
And this is why I also struggle with some things here and there. So I'll bring it back a little bit and just kind of explain that, doing boudoir photography, I got ate up by the Christians. You're displaying a woman's body. You are, you're this, you're that, whatever. And I had a Christian gentleman tell me that I was a burden to men because
Isn't
of the fact.
that so ugly?
And he's Christian.
Yes.
Like, where's your accountability in that, sir?
And yet this same man is a tattoo artist who tattoos naked women on people and cusses in his shop. But he's a man, but so he is different. Ready with his stones.
Yeah. A sin is a sin is a sin is a sin. Okay. Period.
And Jesus said to gouge out the eye if it's going to cause you to sin. So
don't
tell me to stop taking photos. Hello. You stop looking.
Hello.
And at the same time, it's like. So I struggled with that for a minute. And then, I've had some circumstances inside the suite where people have, asked me to kind of jump out of my norm. And I've really held my boundaries in that area because that's not who I am. And that's not the type of art that I want to create. To each his own.
Right.
I'm not judging you. Exactly. It's to each his own. But just recently as well, Nando's cousin had asked me, about my picture that I have as the forefront of the between the sheets. And he basically said, is this, like the way he basically said is, are you kidding me? Like, this is your representation of who Christ is. And he said, you are really like putting up a crazy message for people. Like, you want people to come to you because of the word of God and because of the way you're living and da 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 da. And yet this is the first thing that they're going to see. And I said, this is the problem. I said, so you missed it already. You missed the message by judging what you saw ahead of time. I said, what did you want me to wear? A full-blown dress and hold my little Bible and be like, I said, because that's fake. To me, that's fake and that's phony.
It's phony and it's not real and it's not who you are.
And that's
it's
a
not
Pharisee.
who God intended you to be.
Okay, yes.
And that's to me what the Pharisees did was they wanted to make sure that you
to appear holy.
Yeah, that you appeared holy,
right.
And that you let me point all these things out
what
to you, but you
to coming
yourself
as you are
living it.
What about the people that are coming as they are and seeing that photo and feeling comfortable with coming and learning the word from you? How about that?
Yes. And I am a different kind of Christian. I say it over and over again. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be the one that pretends that I don't say a cuss word here and there. I'm sorry. Yes, I do. You know what I mean? I'm not going to pretend that I don't have, things in my life that are, I am not the picture of perfection at all. And I don't nearly even want to put that out that I am. Like there's just, I don't.
So let's talk about it. Yes. Because we talked a little bit last time about, who were you talking about? David?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And about
y'all was all sick over David.
But wait.
Time over David.
I do have to clarify something. I misquoted.
Oh, okay.
I caught myself.
Okay.
So David was Bathsheba. That was 100%.
Right.
But when I started talking about how when David was following other women, that was actually his son Solomon.
Oh, Solomon.
Okay.
That makes sense.
And Solomon was the one that was looking after all kinds of different girls and things like that. So I just wanted to clarify. Look, I do read my word 100%. I just got caught up in David for a second there. But it was Solomon who actually was tempted by women.
Yes.
And who he really went after them, and these women were following other people, and it hurt his game.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
But still, he was human.
Yep.
He was messy.
Yes.
And he was still favored.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
He was still blessed.
Right. Yes.
So was David, flawed, but blessed. Peter, flawed, but blessed. Because we're meant to be human. We're not called to be saints.
Right.
Yes.
We're called to be human.
Yeah.
And God can still love us regardless to how we present or who we are. God still loves us.
And when we stop holding ourselves, okay, now look, I'm not telling you not to be a better version of you every single day. Absolutely. Try harder. But if you think that you're going to attain this level of perfection, you're fooling yourself.
Yeah. Right. Because it's grace.
And that's one of the things that I told you we had conversation for is that I got hung up on as a young age, being brought up in the church and not really being taught on how to properly be in my word as a child, and then going to these youth groups and feeling like I'm not smart at all. Being around these kids and them just being able to read off book after book after book, and I'm like, I'm just here. Like, nobody's really teaching me anything. I'm not really learning anything. Like, I don't feel like I can stand in a room with these people. I don't know what they know, which is crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is, because Jesus accepts us.
Yes.
And we're called to be more like him. That doesn't mean dress a certain way. That means the love, the acceptance.
Exactly.
And that's why I said, you think that Jesus went around judging everybody?
No.
Show me where he was walking around judging what everybody did. He just said, come with me.
Yes.
He said, walk with me.
He didn't care.
You know what I mean? Yes. He challenged. He challenged your favorite,
Mary.
And he said, now sin no more.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like, he did challenge her. But that grace that you talk about is a gift.
Oh my gosh, that grace. Yes.
So since it's a gift, you can't do anything to earn it.
Right.
Yes.
It's given freely, and all you have to do is receive it.
That's right.
So just as much as we need to accept others, we have to accept ourselves and accept the gift that we're
Give
being
ourselves
given.
grace.
Give ourselves grace.
Yeah.
Receive the grace of God. So that way, if we are in our lingerie, like, we're still worthy of love. You know, if we do feel sexy, if we do, however, we are still worthy of that.
And one man eats meat, and to the other one that doesn't, they say don't argue amongst these things.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Just don't become a burden to somebody else. So, like, if I know that you are an alcoholic, and I avidly know this, I don't want to invite you in here and like fill you up with liquor. I don't want to say, hey, let's go to the club and start drinking. Like, I don't want to do that. You know, those are the things that I really need to keep accountable on, because I want to respect your journey and your walk. But you also have to keep yourself accountable.
Yes.
And if you have an issue with looking at certain things, and maybe you need to keep yourself accountable and stop looking, because you'll be able to find it anywhere.
Correct. That's why that man, that sounds like he got some internal own demon nastiness with that, you know, like you said, you need to close your eyes.
Yeah.
What's the problem?
Yes.
So I'm still a product of God. He created me. So what?
Right. In this body, in this skin. Okay?
Yeah.
And honey, I am not ashamed of it.
At
He done
all.
worked too hard on me
Yes,
for me to be ashamed. No.
You know, and when you really, really take it back, and we were kind of talking about this in the very beginning, Adam and Eve were naked. They were naked before the Lord.
Yes.
And there was no shame in that whatsoever.
They didn't even know what naked was.
They didn't even know what naked was, guys. It was never meant to be that way. And it wasn't until they ate of the tree where God was like, okay, now they're going to be like us. Now they're going to see like us.
Oh, no.
Now they're going to know, you know what I mean? That they started hiding because they felt shame and they felt guilt, and then it became aware to them.
Yes.
And, you know, God called out and said to them, you know, Adam, where are you? You don't think God know where Adam was?
Right. But it's like, why are you hiding?
Why
from
are
me?
you hiding? Because there was that shame. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And he said, I'm hiding. And he said, why? He says, because I'm naked. He said, who told you that?
Right.
Who told you that? You know, and I did a whole lesson on that. Who told you what in your life?
Right.
Yeah.
Who told you that?
Yeah.
You know, and the things that we can take on. But so going, taking that back, these are some of the things, you know, and I have to check myself all the time, because I'm one to say, don't give a about what anybody says. Like, don't give a about how people feel. Like, and so I'm weighing this thing out, you know,
hard.
and have to really make sure that I'm being true and authentic to myself as well in what I'm representing. Now, my brand is sexy.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm all about,
day.
I'm all about, you know, you see it on my walls. I am not ashamed. I am not ashamed about what I do. I'm not ashamed. God gave me a gift, and seriously, like, how could he have given me a gift like that when we see what goes on in that place?
And that's what I was just about to say, is anybody that has an opinion about what you do, or sees the pictures on the wall and thinks that it's tacky or it's inappropriate, you know, those people don't get to see what we see. And it's so much more than just pictures. We have women from all walks of life, women that used to cut, women that have been, you know, molested, raped, you name it. These women are coming, and we can talk about it today, maybe for a level of acceptance from their peers, which there's certain positive, you know, reasons to want that. But, you know, these women are coming in to feel different and love themselves. Yes. How is that what you're doing not based off of love, and that's not a gift from God? And how dare you say that that's not what we're doing?
And at the end of the day, you got to be accountable for you. I got to be accountable for me.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're not going to be able to step up to God and say, oh, let me talk on her behalf, or let me speak on his. No. There's none of that.
Right.
I got to take up for me. And so I got to work that out myself. And if I'm okay with it, then God has spoken enough to me.
Yes.
Until he tells me to change, until he tells me to move, then I'm good with it.
Or he physically moves or takes away.
You know?
Okay.
You know?
and as far as I can tell, you're blessed.
Taken away.
You're multiplying. You're fruitful. So what, really?
Exactly.
Thank you. And that's a lot of the things too that, you know, you always try to line it up when we were talking about how do you know? You remember when we were talking about relationships, how do you know? You got to line things up because it is just not by monetary value or anything like that, but it's when your relationships are rich, when your, you know, your friendships are rich, when you have, you know, wonderful, beautiful things that God has said, hey, guess what? You know what? I trust you with this because God continuously tells me this is not yours. Right. This is mine.
This is mine.
And you are just a steward of what I've given you.
Right.
That's my problem. What do you mean this isn't mine?
Yes.
I worked for this. I clocked in and out for this. You were not. I mean, you were with me, but my hands. And he's like, but my hands are your hands. So what are you talking about?
We are in his hands.
I showed Whitney a picture. And I don't know if you've ever seen it, just kind of floating around on the internet, where the little girl has a teddy bear that she's holding on to.
She showed it to me, and I was like, "Send me that." I was like, "That's me."
And I did. I told her, I said, "Whitney, this is you. Like, this is you." She's holding on to her teddy bear, and she's holding on so tight. And God has a big old teddy bear for her.
I'm like, "No, I want this bear,"
and she can't see it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And we can, but so that's kind of my thinking. That was my thinking behind changing the name and possibly kind of going there, but I have really settled in. So you guys are going to be a little confused for a few moments.
It's okay. Just bear with us.
Okay. Just bear with us. You know,
wait with us.
Yeah, and it is right now called The Real Between the Sheets. It's been called Between the Sheets. Okay, and we are settling with Between the Sheets,
and it's real. Okay,
yes. Okay, it is real. For real. We're going to keep it always real.
Always. We
always. So,
yes.
I loved that. You know, Sammy even challenged me though, and I think that was kind of one of the things you wanted to touch base on a little bit as well. Yes. And she was asking me why. Like, she goes, you know, we as women a lot of times as well are trying to cater to other people.
100%. That's all my job consists of.
Yeah,
is catering to make and physically, like, actually performing an act and making these women feel more beautiful.
Serving, yes. Which. There's nothing really wrong with that, really.
Right.
Having a servant's heart, I love to serve, and it does. It brings me a lot of joy and a lot of pleasure. Like, I feel good about myself when I do. But as a servant, we also have to make sure we're really honoring ourselves. And like you said, those boundaries, because otherwise we'll overgive, we'll get out of our lane. And we got a lane that we need to really run in if we're going to win, you know?
Yeah. And we can feel resentful in that when we start to give too much, when we feel depleted.
Out of our lane. Yes.
We then can look at others and be like, okay, that's it. That's enough. I'm done. And there's nothing wrong with that. Those boundaries are good. Yeah. But you also have to realize that you have given so much that you've depleted yourself.
Yes, you got to
know. So you got to take some ownership back and say, okay, you know what? Maybe I should have set boundaries or said no.
Yep.
Yes.
Sooner.
Yep. Yes.
You know.
That's where my frustration sets in, is where I become like, damn it, why'd you do that? Why are you giving it away? Like, why are you giving it away so free like that?
What you talking about giving away?
No, not that. I just mean, like,
talk about giving it away?
Even just certain situations, like,
no, she didn't.
I have not given it away in quite a couple of months. It's been a couple of months, okay?
Yeah.
Since I've given that away. But no, I mean, like, even just going above and beyond for friends, or going above and beyond for family members. You know, I always take it to the extreme. Like, birthdays, take to the extreme. You know, specific things that I take the extreme, and then, you know, I want that reciprocated back, and it doesn't come. You were the only one that really celebrated my birthday with me this past year. You know what I mean? And then I put all that money and time into somebody that didn't want to give it back. You know what I mean? So it's like, as much as I want to be upset at her for that, I can't really, because I allowed that, and I'm the one that did that. So I need to.
Well, I think, you know, that brings up a good point about when we are given, that we need to give without the expectation of receiving.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to do sometimes, because we can throw it, you know, in other people's faces. Very like, well, wait a minute, I did, and I've caught myself. I'm like, oh, well, I did this and I did that. Well, I'm not doing that no more.
Right. I didn't lead with the expectation of like, oh, I expect you to do this. But I mean,
when
I did have an expectation in my mind, like, well, I went above and beyond for you. I give what I want to receive.
Right. And I've been on the other side of that, where someone gives for me, and then maybe I don't live up to their expectations.
Right.
And then they're mad. And I'm like, well, I didn't tell you to do that.
Right.
So
yes.
you either gave it freely or you didn't, or were there strings attached and I didn't know.
Right.
Right.
You know,
Is it a gift?
Right. Is it a gift or
Yes.
not?
Or
But
is
at the
this a
same-
loan? And I owe
You're
you.
expecting
I'm gonna
payment.
need all of those decorations back.
Because I actually read a meme the other day that said something very much like that. It says like, what the moment that somebody tries to hold something over your head that says, remember when I did this, like that's toxic.
Yes.
Right off the
Yes.
bat, when they
Yes.
want to start to like throw off their little checklist
Of what
This
they
is
did
what
for
I
you.
did. This is what I. Yeah.
But at the same time, I get where you're coming from now, because
Right.
you want to be in those relationships where it's feeding you
Yes,
and where
back
it's
and
like
forth.
reciprocal, you know? And I think the only thing that we can really do is make sure that we're giving to the right people from the start.
Hello.
We're in the right relationship.
Hello.
So when we do give, we kind of already know, like, she got me.
Yes.
She got me.
Yes.
It's cool.
Yeah.
You know?
And everybody has different love languages. If you
Yes.
guys have not read that book, Love Languages, it's one that I highly, highly
Love it.
recommend.
True. Take the quiz.
And
read
I'm
the book.
multiple. I'm not just one.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
tells you. It's usually you have top three.
Yes.
Gary Chapman is, I believe, I think that's his name, is the author of that, and that
Yes.
book has been circulated throughout for quite a
long
while.
time.
They have one for teens, so that you can
yes,
start to
even
learn
parents.
Your kids, your
Do they
parents.
really? I didn't know that. Wow.
And it really does teach you that most of the time that you understand that when you are giving, you're giving the love language that you want, but it's not necessarily what
How they receive love.
right.
Yes.
And so then it feels amiss because
Yes.
you could be like, here you go. This feels like love. And then they're like, well, hey, let's go hang out. And you're like, I don't really want to hang out. Like, I want a
Yeah.
present.
right. Buy me something.
Buy me something. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so
I want to
then,
go to the movies. I want the movie.
you know what I mean?
Okay.
And it is, but it is. And it could become a miss between partners. And so the hardest part is to learn their love language because most of the time they're leading with it.
Yes.
And kind of do the flipperoo. Like, okay, well, this is how I'm going to do, So if
Right.
I know that somebody is, they love gifts, then, and even though like it really doesn't matter to me if I get a gift or not, it just doesn't. But if I know that that's their gift, then I probably want to try to do that.
Right.
Nando's love language is words of affirmation.
Right.
And physical touch. So that is not my love language whatsoever. You know what I mean? Like I am good. Like you don't got to build me up. You ain't got to tell me. And I told him this the other day. I said, you don't have to tell me. You don't got to give me. I mean, don't get me wrong. I appreciate it.
Yes.
When he tells me, babe, I'm proud of you. Like that's very sweet.
Yeah.
But I don't need it to like, okay, I got to be built up. Like, I did enough work to build
good.
myself up.
Right.
Okay.
You
don't got to affirm me.
Right.
So and there's nothing wrong with people that need to be affirmed because they just they were brought up a different way. They lived a different way. They need it for different reasons.
Yes.
It's just not mine.
Yes.
And so like for us both, and then so mine is acts of service. So when somebody does something nice for me,
Yes.
like that is like
Without having to be told,
or
by
asked.
the way.
And don't keep your
Yes.
checklist if you do it and then bring it back to me. I don't want it then.
Yes. True.
I don't.
Yeah.
And just to clarify, acts of service is different than gifts. Like
Yes.
a gift is an actual physical gift. Act of service is, they just do something for
Right.
you. Out
Do
of
the
kindness of
laundry.
their heart.
Fold the
Take the
laundry.
trash out.
Right.
Do
something
something.
That
for
feels
me.
like love
Right.
to me.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Something.
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Do
And
the
I think it's
dishes.
because I'm so busy and I'm just so
Right.
going. And
Right.
so when that's a miss in the relationship and it's hard.
Yeah.
It's a difficult thing to
Yes.
work through. So,
Yeah.
but so we're good. We're good on the name, right?
Yes.
We're good
We're
on
good
that.
The name.
Yes,
The name
we're
does not
good.
need to change.
But
No.
I am excited to say that there is a new
Yes.
URL. We could change it 3 times in 1 year.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness. So that will be changed here shortly.
Praise the Lord.
But we did also create a QR code that we'll be able to share now. And
Yes.
so when we do share across the board, it's going to be a lot easier to share that URL
Yes.
and whatnot. What else do we got going on before we jump into what else is like?
we got a lot going. Well, you, Miss Ma'am, have a lot going on.
I do.
Oh my God, the boudoir suite is full of blessings, like you said.
hop
Just
in.
nothing but full of blessings. Leah is getting ready to start her own intimates lingerie line.
Yes.
Exciting.
I saw that.
Dare to bear. It's beautiful.
Yes.
And we talked about Marie the other day. Like this girl's badass. Like
Yes.
she I was like, I threw it out to her private and said, here, I'm looking for something snazzy, cute, the name. And she just like came out with like 10 different names. Yep. Like she's just so good.
Yes.
So then I fell in love with that one. And then I started picturing it in my head, the bee and the
like
bra.
the bra.
Yes. And so then I started that same day.
Yep.
Same day
she did everything.
I love it. I love it.
Like, okay, yep, now I'm going to create this. And
You're
now I'm going to
such a creator.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that. Yes.
That is good stuff. That's
but plenty of stuff. Yeah. Lots of new stuff coming on with the business. So definitely stay tuned, guys.
Yeah.
Lots of new stuff.
Just so you guys know.
Oh my gosh.
I do want to give a shout out to this mother effer.
Is that the name of the show?
That's his slogan.
Bless his heart.
I love it. So you know what? I've been a fan since day one. Literally when I would see his stuff, and I love that he came up with a slogan. And when he stopped doing it, I was like, you suck. No, what happened? Where's that slogan?
You need to say it. You need to say it all the time.
Started doing it and bringing it back and whatnot. And so he created this line of shirts that both Whitney and I supported and bought.
Yes.
And he has a few more, I think, available. So
shout out, Dana. I need some socks. Yes. I need the socks, please.
Yeah. And I mean, maybe start making a V-neck for the women, crop tops.
I made mine into a crop top. I just tied it.
Yeah, you did.
If you could make some booty shorts, that would be wonderful.
His head gonna be up on your booty. I'm sure he will appreciate that. So I will say that, and then I also want to give a shout out to Karina Solano Boutique.
Yes, super cute jacket.
Yes, this is
so
a blazer,
cute.
And she is located out in Monument, Colorado.
Yes.
And she has her own it's a Solano Boutique. My clients, just so you guys know, get a 10% discount anytime you go and shop with her.
Ooh, I love it.
So you guys get to use Leah10 is the code.
Yep.
Go see her and you'll get 10% off of your order. And
so cute, guys.
Stuff.
And it's all color coordinated, like how it's set up.
I love it.
So cute. I love when I go shop and everything that is going to match like the colors are right there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Makes
I
me
love
so
it.
happy.
Did you guys know like my first real business was like personal styling?
Really?
Yes. I went to school for fashion design and merchandising.
What?
Look at what we're
Isn't
getting
that
ready
funny?
to do. Look at the universe.
Isn't that so
crazy.
funny? It's so crazy.
So why did you stop? Why did you stop with it, or what?
So what happened was I started working with all these clients and I was giving them these big transformations outside, but back in the day. So back in the day, I used to partner with two other young women. Shout out to Kim Clay and Janie
Kim
Morris.
Clay. We love you, Kim.
Kimmy and Janie, and we had the studio space and I did the style. Kim did makeup. Janie did photos.
Such a small world.
Such a small,
That is
especially
crazy
in Colorado
small
Springs.
world.
Yes.
Right. And we would do these transformations on these women and it was great. But I would notice like sometimes the clients, like even though they were all done up and all in these clothes.
No, we know that.
Right. Like sometimes the confidence, that
there.
inner thing, it wasn't, and there's one client in particular, I went all out in dressing her, and at that photo shoot, like I could tell she hadn't like showered and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So I felt like I failed, honestly.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, like I haven't given them any confidence through all these photos. Like, so it sent me on this journey of like inner happiness and inner confidence and inside out. It really is like what started my change and my transition into yoga and into meditation, and it made me strip down everything, and I stopped wearing makeup. Like, how can I just be confident like in here? How can I just be good and love myself just for who I am?
Yes.
And so then that's what I turned my business into.
I love that.
Inside out stuff.
And that's about the time that I met Sammy. I want to say is that she was just kind of on that journey of the yoga.
Yeah.
And she was talking about, it's called tantric yoga.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to ask some questions.
Y'all heard that right.
Questions.
Y'all heard that
Yeah.
correct.
Do y'all know what that is?
Because I didn't know what the heck it was.
Okay.
I had no clue what it was.
I told Leah first and foremost when she brought it up, I was like, "You gonna go to one of those?" I said, "Cause they make noise, right?"
We do. Lots of noises
Yes.
and
I told her,
Stuff
I
is
said, "You better." I said, "You better get involved. You cannot just sit there and watch us make these noises.
And here's the thing, like,
I'm gonna make you participate.
Yes,
Don't
make her, please, make
Okay.
her.
I went to a yoga class at one point. Okay. And listen.
Okay.
So this was like one of my first experiences that I had with yoga.
Okay.
And so we were in the class, and she told us to sit down and cross-legged, hold our hands out.
Crisscross applesauce.
Yes. And so she asked us to start to breathe in and breathe out, heavy breaths. And she wanted us to really breathe from our throat. And so she was saying you need to
You push it out. That's that
These
throat.
really-
That's that throat chakra. You gotta let it out.
It's really
All up in here.
deep,
Did she tell you to snore?
No, I mean,
For
but it
real?
was it sounded like a deep
Yeah.
And-
Sounds like some yoga stuff.
So then she's breathing like that. She's giving this demonstration.
This is all prior to COVID, just so everybody knows.
And she starts doing one of these while her hands are closed, and she's making these noises. And I was like, "This freaking exorcist shit up in here! What the hell am I involved in?" I couldn't, and I started cracking up, laughing. And I didn't want to be. I did not want to be disrespectful. I didn't. That was not my intention.
Leah does not have a poker face at all. Leah is like, what is going on? She can't hide it at all.
It's so funny because Whitney always called me out. She's like, "Your face. You should have seen your face."
So when we go to this class, what I'm saying is I'll be recording Leah.
I told her, I said, if I go, you go. You
course
gotta,
I'm going.
But okay, so no, really though. So when I met her and she talked about this, and I was like, and she was like, it's very, it's to really bring out the sexual inner goddess in you, and
Yes.
and help you and your partners and your partner,
Right.
not partners, not for me at least. Yeah, you've got partners, but not for me. And I didn't know what to expect, and she wanted to do a retreat here, and I was like, I will, I honestly wanted to see what it was about.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, come and do it, So explain that to me
Yes,
first and foremost.
tell us.
Because I also want to talk about where you're at now and what the transition between that was.
Yeah. Well, okay. So Tantra, just for you and for everyone
So
watching.
tantric
or
Tantra.
tantra.
Okay.
Doesn't,
Yeah.
tomato, right? Tantra. Tantra. I feel like.
Yeah.
But it's like yoga for lovers.
Right.
That's the best way to describe it. And I love that last time we were talking about yoke, right? Yoga, it means to yoke. It means union.
Yes.
Union
Yes.
with
I had
what?
no idea.
Yes, that's what it means, to yoke or union. And it's supposed to be union with God. So the whole thing about yoga, it really is the breath. And there's lots of different weird breaths. And breaths that you do, but it's all about, my child is raising her hand.
Is the thing still on? Oh, okay.
Oh, I don't know why. I don't know. Well, because the yolk and the I don't know. Yoke.
I didn't know that was that. I didn't know that was even that was even a deal. I didn't know that yoga came from the word yoke or in
Well, it
some
makes
form.
sense
It
because
does.
you're intertwined with your own body or your spirit. So
Yes.
it makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's so much emphasis on the breath. And, think
Yes.
about in the beginning, God says he breathed into the dust and into man. And that's that
Right.
breath, the breath of God. And it's how to move with your breath and how to be at home in the body. And there's lots of different disciplines of yoga. There's a praise and worship basically of yoga that's called bhakti, when you're all about just devotion to God and loving God. There's the yogis that do jnana, so they study a lot, they read a lot, and it's all about the mind and mindset. And Tantra is the yoga that is for intimacy. It's for love. It's how to manifest God or how to be with God even when you're with your lover or taking God as beloved.
And that's so crazy because the book Think and Grow Rich, I believe that's the book.
Yes, chapter 11, right?
Yes.
Sexual transmutation.
Yes.
Babe, it's a thing.
Yes. So, and they say that's when you're at the highest point of being able to exchange and also receive,
Right.
which I thought was very interesting. I also know that is why a woman and a man together can build a very powerful thing.
Honey,
If you have the right partner.
Yes, if you yoke yourself
The right
to the right
person.
person. Yes, absolutely. So that's been my journey. I mean, speaking for myself, my biggest, at least from my perspective, my biggest wounds were in my sexuality. I think that a lot of people are wounded in there, confused about who they are, or even if it's just mundane stuff, like it doesn't feel good, or they're not getting to the peak.
Exactly.
70% of women don't.
Confused.
Okay, say that again.
70% of women don't typically orgasm or reach climax when they're having penetrative sex with their partners.
That was me.
Okay.
For 3 years I was married, and I actually called my mom and was like, is this how this is supposed to be?
Right.
Like, I'm confused. Like, it got to a point where I was crying after sex because I felt so unfulfilled, and I felt like a buildup, but not ever. And I don't mean like a release.
Yeah, well, it is a release.
Yeah.
It very much is.
But I didn't feel like an emotional release, like a connection, and I felt like I was being stifled, and it hurt my heart. And I was like, I'm not feeling like connected with my husband at this point. Like, is it something I'm doing wrong? Like, what's going on?
No, it's just that most people don't know. Most people don't know about it. And most people are uneducated to their bodies and to how to get pleasure, and that, or even, like you said, emotionally being okay with receiving pleasure.
Yes.
I went and saw my OB one time, and this was years ago. And I just asked her, I said, is there anything, like, I feel like my drive is low. I said, I'm not exactly sure why, we're mothers, we wear a lot of hats, we're busy, and I feel, and I know that some men are different, but I feel like that men just have this stamina, and they're just like ready to go, and I'm like, I can't keep up. Like, I think
there's
keep up with that.
increases as they get older too.
And well, so you know what she told me? She said, Leah, if I could buy stock in something that they made for women, I would put so much damn money into it. She said, because you have no idea how many times I get asked this. She said, women in general are just not built that way.
Right.
And it gave me peace of mind.
Like,
I'll just
not
be honest.
doing anything wrong.
Yes, because, for a man, if you tell him that, you're tired, you're not interested, they think that there's something wrong with them.
Yeah.
A lot of men.
Internal attack.
And me and my husband have had this issue. It's like, it's not you. Like, it's not. But by the time I get to the room and, like, I've had work and I'm mentally exhausted and, I just, these things.
We think about the checklist of what it takes to get up to.
Yes.
I'm like, well, if I do that, then I'm going to have to get up and take a shower. And then that means that you're going to sweat my hair out. That means I'm going to have to straighten my hair tomorrow morning unless I don't do it tonight. Like, I will come up with a whole list.
And I think that women should be more devoted to talking about this with their partners, and their partners should be more devoted to being open in listening.
Yes.
Right.
And that way they can come up with a
like a common ground.
Yeah,
just
a common
like
ground.
meeting point.
And so I think it's just such an interesting concept. And, if you talk about biblically, like they say when you're a husband and wife, like to be having sex as much as possible.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Really?
It says that unless you're like basically in prayer and you're devoting your time to God, then you need to be like this with your partner. And so, like, my husband holds that over my head.
Well, the Lord said,
the Lord's work.
I'll bring it back. And I'm like, but do you remember what it says before that you best be in prayer?
Hello.
And if you ain't, then
you ain't receiving.
You know what I mean? Like, because there's also, like, people miss that part. We want to use certain pieces about the scripture, but bring it back because this is what it says. You're connected with God above and beyond. So don't just use that part of the scripture, but not the first part.
Use all of it.
Okay.
Okay. So let me get off my soapbox here.
That was Fernando. You got that.
So this is a really good subject. And this is when we were talking about relations the first go round. I wanted to dive deeper. So I do feel like this is a little bit more of a part 2 of this because there's the men's perspective, which we're also going to try to bring on a couple of different men and really get deep about
right?
Yes.
I want to be privy to that conversation.
I would love.
I think it's very important because also, like, even when we're talking about Gary Chapman and we're talking about the love languages, it even says in the book, it says, don't just automatically assume that a man's is physical touch.
Yes.
It's not.
True. Which I feel like I've fallen victim to that several times. Just not knowing and being ignorant and thinking, oh, let me just rub your neck for a couple minutes.
Right.
Leave me alone.
You good?
Are you okay? Let me rub oh, you're asleep. That means I can stop.
It's crazy. But this is really important because I wonder how many other women are not speaking and they're not saying, because I think that even for me, and I told my husband, I said, men, as they get older, they experience things, they experience loss of drive and ED and all kinds of things that they go through. Yes. And it's hard and difficult for them to talk about it because they're embarrassed, right? Oh, yeah. So how is it the same way for women who may feel like, I don't have this drive, and am I fulfilling my husband, or are they going to go someplace else? And we have all of these thoughts as well. And I think we need to be more prone to talking about it 100%. With one another and being open and also saying like, look, it's okay.
Well, and people not putting the effort in to fix it too. If there's a problem and you've never had that experience with your significant other, you can't just ignore it. You need to talk about it.
And how do you fix it? Like, so what do you do? So maybe your partner's not open to doing something like the tantra, or maybe they feel like, oh no, this is weird.
Or you open up a window or a door where you find out your partner wants to do a whole mess of things that you don't want to be a part of.
Isn't that fun? We talked about that, right? Yes, shout out to Manny, or it was Arango, right?
Yes. Oh my God.
And he talked about it was smirk. So, it was very much talking about for you single people out there, when you are looking for a partner and an individual that you want to be with, like, instead of just jumping in, you really need to line a few things up with these things. Yes. And some of these are hardcore things that you really need to start thinking about. Not, does he look good?
Right. Or what does he do? Or how much money does he have?
Like, it's really hardcore issues that typically break up marriages because, and I don't know what the statistics are now, but it was like 50-50. Like, you have 50% chance of making it or not. And I think the divorce rate was peaking. It was higher. And it's because some of these issues you don't talk about ahead of time. It's just like, this looks good. I want to do this. We'll worry about and fix all the things later. But we're not getting up front about sex. Well, and what did he say? Well, you like, handcuffs?
Right.
You like handcuffs and being chained to the bed. Well, that's probably a no-go for me.
Right.
Or maybe it's like, this is what I like and it's a no-go for you. So then we're out.
Right.
And
figuring out if you agree on that.
Right.
Before.
How do we meet in the middle for that? If you over here and I'm over here, how do we...
And maybe sometimes you don't.
Exactly.
Stop trying to compromise sometimes and meet in the middle. Sometimes that's like, okay, goodbye.
Hard no.
Right.
Yeah, that's a hard pass.
It's okay.
And no thank you.
And you got to understand your hard no's and your hard yeses when you are starting. And you got to be okay with saying, don't compromise yourself because you want to feel loved. Like,
in all the wrong places.
Go ahead, girl. She about to get country on us. What? A little bit of country too.
A little bit of rock and roll.
I love it. Eclectic. So that was one. Money, sex, intangibles.
Yes.
Was another one.
Stuff.
Kids
and religion.
Religion.
Yes.
Yeah. So those were the ones. You don't believe in God and you believe in something else. And I do really hardcore. It's probably gonna be a problem there.
Yeah, we're not gonna work.
Yeah,
And those are those necessary conversations that you have to have. And I feel like women struggle because we're so ready to have the conversation majority of the time. I feel like, depending on what space we're in.
Yeah.
But we always get intimidated and scared. Like, well, if I have this conversation, he's gonna look at me like I'm ready to marry him right now. Like, no. I just need to know where you're at.
I just want to know ahead of time so I don't waste my time.
I need to know what I'm getting myself into.
Yeah. Let's just call it.
Yes. Let's call a thing.
Smirk, ladies and gentlemen. Look it up because it's definitely something that needs to be talked about, ahead of the game. Especially as you're getting older. Go ahead.
But you know what else he said? He was talking about how marriage is not like a solution to fix singleness.
No, it is not.
Like, you shouldn't be always just trying to get married.
Right.
Like, sometimes like a relationship is just what it is and that's okay. Or being single is just what it is. And it's okay to just be single.
Right.
You're not broken. To be single. It's okay to be single. You know what I love about that is as well. So taking it back to what he also said is not one. And I really had to like check. I was looking it up. I was like, let me line this up and make sure that he's saying what he would. That I think, because I was like, no, he did tell Mary to marry Joseph, and he didn't, And so Manny said in the sermon, he said, not one time did God say, you have to marry this woman.
Right.
You have to take this woman as your wife.
Well, and I love that conversation because I thought that. Like
I did
thought
too.
it was just hand in hand. And
he straight up said, look, that's spiritual manipulation.
Right.
Somebody comes up to you and says, hey, God told me. Right. God told me that you and I are supposed to be together. He said,
that's creepy.
Straight up. He said, that is straight up spiritual manipulation.
The Lord
he said,
did not tell you that.
why does God need somebody else to tell you need to be with this person? Like, why does he need him to tell you?
Facts.
Right.
So that's spirit. And he said, you tell me one time in the Bible, in the word, where he ever said, I'm going to make these two people join together. No, he said, when you two join together,
yes.
then you become one flesh.
Yes. And that was one of the other things Manny said. He said agency. You know, we have to be responsible for our choices and for who we want to be with. If you're married, that's because you wanted to be.
Yes.
If you're single, that's because you want to be.
And she's bringing up a good point, because I think both, so you've been married for 13, 14 years. I've been married for 20. Right. And, we were young. So I was 17 years old. And so who I was then is not who I am now.
Not at all.
And I have evolved so much. Yeah, and it really is. And him too. Thank God he's not the same man that he used to be, because I have fallen more in love with the man he is now than who he was. That's for sure. But at the same time, we had different wants and desires and things back in those days. And I think that I've evolved a little bit more, and he has evolved so much, but I think I've evolved a little faster. I tell you, I go hard.
Yeah.
Well, but women, I feel like naturally, and could be a debate that we can have, but I feel like women evolve faster than men, period.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's been my experience. Like, I'm on a mission.
I think that, they say scientifically that women mature in their brain and in their body and everything else faster than men. I could say for 100% sure that Nando was not a mature man until he was about 27 years old. Right. And like that took a long time for me to get through that. You know what I mean? Like I was like, come on, dude, like let's get this stuff together. Right. Mm-hmm. But now, like he is, now I even tell him he's like, oh man, he wanted to go to bed at 8 o'clock. And I'm like, dude, like I'm gonna be up till 1.
Right. It's so cute.
We have our stuff together now. Now we can have fun. What are you doing?
He's like, I'm tired.
I'm tired. I'm going to sleep. He's like, babe, I just want to spend time with you. No, you want me to be a body right by you. But bless his heart.
I'm gonna get you a heating pad. Here you go.
But bless his heart for just wanting to be near me. You know what I mean?
Yes, 100%.
And he always teases me. He says, so many women wish and desire to have a man that does want them to be in their presence. Yes, and so I get it. Like I love my husband. But some of these things are real deal that we need to talk about.
100%.
Before this shit hits the fan.
Yes. Yeah. Facts.
So I love that we're kind of going here and talking about this stuff, because I want to also allow the viewers to chime in on this.
We want your opinion on this.
Yes. If you're struggling, and what have you done to spice things up? Now let me ask you a question. So you were kind of involved in this whole area of this tantra, and this is what, and you felt completely okay with it. Yes. You felt good in your spirit about it.
Yes.
And
well.
Let's get real.
Okay, keeping it real. I felt good in a lot of ways about it, but I could always tell that something was off. Mm-hmm. I couldn't quite place it, and I couldn't figure it out. But I could tell something was off. So I
meaning
kept
like with you, or like just with the class itself, or it
not
was
the
just,
class, not the content. Maybe it was my clients. Maybe it was me.
Okay.
I don't even fully know, but I could just tell something was off.
Right.
Off. But I kept going because I didn't know what it was. And it was, you take the steps. Like you said, you take action, you put the ideas out there, and it manifests. Yep. But something was off. And it wasn't until like pretty recently, like just a few months ago, that finally, like I was in prayer, and I was like, there was this big opportunity that I had to partner with this big organization to take my work to the next level. And there were like 6 interviews. It was a big process, and then it fell through, and I was just like shattered. And I was like,
really?
God, like, come on up here, baby.
Really?
Arlo, I cannot. You
don't fart on me,
are pathetic.
Oh, baby.
Oh gosh. Oh no, he don't let. He will start climbing on you. He'll start like jumping all up on you, and his face is stinky.
No,
he can't help it. That's the way God made him.
I know.
Tell my baby.
Dana isn't here.
Shout out to Arlo. Arlo should be our Between the Sheets mascot.
He is the mascot.
He does not leave this office. He does fart.
No, he does not leave Leah's side.
No, he doesn't.
Oh, that's good, because you're a good boy.
And you're my baby. Okay, but you're going to have to relax, okay? Or else I'm going to have to kick you out. But so you started to feel
yes, something
Okay.
was off. It was off. And
now in this journey as well. Talk to me for a minute, okay?
Yeah.
I throw you out there a little bit. And it's okay because you and I talked about this and I was always curious about this. And it's something that I had been even contemplating just recently, getting into. I have girlfriends that have done tarot cards, tarot reading.
Yes,
And that was
yes.
one thing. Come here, Arlo. That's one thing that,
Yes.
back and forth in the word, you can kind of, yes, it says this, should I do this? Should I mess around with it? And there are spiritual gifts
Yes.
that
Yes.
are given to people.
Yes. Okay. So let me stop you right there.
Okay.
There are spiritual gifts, but at the end of the day, who or what is being glorified by your gifts?
Hello.
God will give you a gift, absolutely. But we're given agency. We're given free will. We're given choice. So where do you want to take that gift? Now, thank God, God never let me go too far. I went pretty far. But
Right.
I couldn't go all the way, even if I tried. But I knew just a few months ago, like really, I knew it hit me in prayer, like, oh, I haven't been glorifying God with my gifts and with my talents. I'm gifted, absolutely. But I was not glorifying God with my gifts. I was proud. I was arrogant. And if I wasn't glorifying God, then what or whom was I glorifying?
Right.
Mainly myself,
Selfish ambition.
right? Selfish ambition and fooling myself saying, no, I'm helping people. Look at all the people I'm helping.
Right.
Look at everyone I'm helping. But in the coaching industry, in the life coaching industry, most people, their business name, it's their own name. Most people, when you look on their website, it's their picture. It's,
Hello.
you know what I mean? Like,
You better
it's
preach.
so much self-glorification. And for someone that claims to be spiritual and is talking about yoga and union with God, there was not a lot of God in my business. And that's what God revealed to me. He was like, so where am I?
Right.
And I was like,
Yeah, that place is uncomfortable. When God calls you out, it is not a comfortable place. It just really isn't. It's like, okay, because he's the one that
They don't call it a come to Jesus moment for a reason. They do it for a reason.
"Ooh," and he came and he got me, like, come here.
Because I was curious, because Whitney as well, and I'm not, again, I want everybody to know that, like,
Right.
to each his own. Again, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, because I do believe that, when people talk about the stars and astrology and I'm sorry, I don't think there's nothing wrong with it. I'm sorry, I
Right.
don't. But when you take it back to the three wise men, they were astrologists.
Correct.
And they
Okay.
looked
100%.
they looked upon a sign,
Yes.
which was
Yes.
the star,
Yes.
to follow where it is that they were
Okay.
supposed to go.
And if I can be honest, and again, I went back and forth, like, is this pride or is this inspired? But I was
Exactly.
like, I'm gifted, and the only reason I'm called a witch or I'm outcast from the church is because I'm a woman. If I'm a man, then yes,
Hello.
I'm a three wise man.
Yep.
But if I'm a woman, then
You're a witch.
I'm a witch, and those women get hunted down and hung and burned and out ostracized or whatever. I didn't think there was any place for me in the church. I grew up in the church, but I knew very, very young that I was gifted. Very, very young that I saw things that other people didn't see, and I knew very, very young I had to be quiet. I felt like I had to
Hide your gifts.
Yes.
Which is not
Yes.
fair.
No, it's not.
And that's ignorance. That's people around you ignorant to your gift.
Yes, because at the end of the day, if we are fools to think that God, who created the heaven and the earth and the stars and the sky, that he would not use energy, that he would not use these things
Exactly.
to be able to give us signs.
Well, and I
to
tell
be
her,
able to,
I tell her the same thing when I practice meditation, or if I'm practicing self meditation, or if I'm practicing self healing. I use stones.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But before I do anything, I am praying first to God.
Yeah.
I'm giving it to God. I'm giving that power to God.
Yes.
It's not that I'm sitting here and I have an altar and these statues and I'm worshiping another being besides God.
Right.
But who am I to say that these tools that were put on earth created by him is not something that I can use?
Yeah.
What's the difference between me holding a stone while I meditate and knowing that there's an actual energy or power that it gives off, as opposed to you wearing your cross around your neck every day?
Yeah. Ooh.
What's the
okay.
difference?
Okay. So I'm not going to claim to have the answer. I don't.
Right.
I don't know. But what I do know is that, because I had an extensive crystal collection,
Right.
books, I mean,
Right.
I had it all.
Right.
And honey, I just gave all my stuff away. Like,
Up, yeah.
gave it
you know what I
away.
loved about what she said? is that I hope we didn't fart again right now, but if we did, I don't know.
It is a little funky.
Gosh, Arlo!
It might just be happening again. Flashback. It's because I have Dana on my shirt, huh? Woo, it's bad. Okay. But you know what I loved about what she said about this when we were talking about it, and we were getting in depth, and I told you about
she
this.
Did. She after you left after the last podcast, she was like, you going to want to have a conversation.
Well, because then I know that she's playing around with it again. I'm not saying it's wrong or right. That's not my place to say. Right. But what I do know is that God said that the same spirit that raised Jesus Christ from the dead dwells within you. Yes. That means that you have authority.
Right. Yes.
And that means that authority lives within you. And that authority we need to walk in. And the moment that we say, okay, I'm giving the authority to this thing,
something else
is being taken away from you. Right. And so for me personally, it's like I don't need sage in my house. Right. Why? Because I walk in and I speak the name of God.
Right.
And things change.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like it changes.
Yes. Yes.
And so for me personally, I just know that I haven't been given, because it told me and he told me so. He said, I left you an advocate. You know, I left you an advocate, the spirit to help you. He said, and if you guys, I say it over and over and over and over again, all the time to my girls, the same spirit that raised Jesus Christ from the dead dwells within you.
Right.
And when he told the disciples, when they were so in awe of what he could do, miracle healings.
What did he say?
He said, you can do this and so much more.
Right.
Greater.
You know what I mean?
Greater
like, yes.
Okay.
Like, that's powerful.
So
He's
powerful.
saying, like, look,
Yes.
are you walking in that authority? The same thing I told Shannon. Like, there's these gifts of faith, you know?
Yes.
If you have a faith as small as a mustard seed, he said, you can move mountains.
Yes.
And those are all gifts,
Yes.
you know, that we have authority.
Yes.
And so I love that she said that. She said, I felt like I was giving my authority over to something else.
Yes. And it does. It makes sense.
And not just that. It's like, yes, what's the difference in these symbols? But to me, I finally realized Jesus is the healer, right? So I had the crystal collection too. I had all that. And I'm like, am I thinking that the stone is healing me?
Right.
Like, no, come on, no. And if I know it's not the stone, then why do I need the stone? I don't.
Right.
You know, they call a lot of that stuff occult or hidden. That's what occult means. It means hidden, you know, and it's like, if it's hidden or if it's in the dark, like, why? Maybe it's cool to know, like, okay, you know, but is that what you really want to walk in? You want to be walking in darkness? Like, is that what you want? Or do you want to walk in the light? Like, the Bible is freely given. It is free and it is available. You can read it. You don't need a different spell book. And it's not even spells. It's people. It's loving people.
It's experiences.
It's experiences.
Yes.
It's conversations. So, okay. So that brings me to my notes.
Yes.
My notes. So I love to travel and whatnot, but I've never traveled to Jerusalem or to Israel or anything. But if you look at the maps and if you talk to people that have been there, right? Like,
This dude loves you.
I love him back.
He's making me a little jealous.
Don't be jealous. But
Go ahead.
yeah, so like, you know, the Bible will say Jesus went from Galilee to Jerusalem, and they say, you know, he did that, and we think, okay, he did it, and now what happens next? Like, what's the next thing that happens? But if you go to Jerusalem now, Galilee, that's like 80 miles away.
Yes.
You know, like, so he had to walk. So it took days, you know, days of walking and camping and cooking
I
and
had
eating.
one of my clients that I used to see at Massage Envy. She went with her church. She went over there for a tour. She was over there for 3 weeks.
Ooh.
And when she came back, she was just like, you know, they really mean what they say when it's cities stacked on top of cities.
Yes.
They build up. They do not build out.
Yeah.
She was like,
Ooh.
yes.
Okay.
She was like, my feet and my energy was done after this trip. She was like, and exactly what you just said. She was like, it really puts into perspective the scripture and just all the things that he was doing and how spread out everything was. It seems so simple in the word when you read it, but she was like, when you're actually physically there in it, she was like, I don't know how he did it. I was done after the first 2 days.
Right? Girl, tired. I'm tired.
For real. Walking all over the place, just... giving to people and reading to people and exploring and going through all of these things.
Right.
Yes.
So in between these events, right, he's being with his disciples.
Yes.
They're eating together. They're talking,
Teaching, yes.
teaching or, maybe cracking jokes or fighting or telling stories. They were living and just being in relationship together, the real everyday mundane things, and to me, like, there's no ritual or nothing else you need to do. All you need to do is live with people, be with people.
Yeah, learn
love them.
Be around people.
Be around people. Be in community. Eat with them.
Yes.
Joke with them. Love them.
Yes.
That's really all you got to do. So, I mean, once I kind of got that, and to me, it's like I've always been tuned into my intuition, and I just, not being in the church using my gifts, I guess I just didn't have the right framework or the right perspective. But now that I do, like, once I know, I can't unknow.
Right.
It's like I know now, so it's like, okay, I got to be obedient. I got to do what you're telling me to
know,
do.
yeah.
Unknow. I love that. Once you know, you can't unknow. That's why I always tell everybody, like, I don't need to convince you what I'm already convinced about.
Ooh.
Right.
At the end of the day, like, that's just what it is, because, like, once you know,
right,
you can't unknow.
Yeah.
Right.
So that
the more you know.
So we jumped around a little bit all over, but this was good. And,
it was really
I think
good.
we need to continue. It's February. We're getting to the end of February. We want to continue on this relationship journey, because relationships are a part of every single
Yes, you gotta
thing
get
that
the
we
love.
do.
You gotta get the love.
Yes. From business relationships to friendships to working relationships.
Yes.
It's important, because I believe that that's the foundation, is built on everything that we do.
Yes.
And so we need to keep talking about. We need to talk about some of the hard stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, we do.
100%.
Sex, like what happens when somebody cheats? What happens when you have these things that this person likes and this person doesn't?
Yes.
How do you come back? That's when she talked about that specific thing that she asked the pastors, because, like, again, we were talking about when we were young.
Right.
So when that changes, how do you change?
Right.
Like, we didn't talk about those things. Okay, but now we're married.
Yes.
And so
We're here now.
what do we do? And we need to talk about those 20,
and
30,
it's
40
important.
years later.
And I'm on the opposite side. I did the marriage young, went through all of that, and now I'm starting over again in my 30s, almost getting close to 40. Like, that's scary.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Yeah. And it's like, what do we do now?
Right.
How do we do this?
I thought I was doing the right thing. So what is the right thing?
So I think the next time what we want to do is we want to bring some men on and get some of the perspectives of men in all of these things, because we as women can sit around here and talk all day about what we think
all day.
But we want to hear what the men's perspective is too. We want to hear what they have to say about all of these things. What would be interesting? And maybe we should ask our viewers again. Maybe we'll put this up on a poll.
Right.
We know that we want to talk about sex, because I just think it's important all across the board.
Right.
Like, we really do, because it's important all across the board between men and women. But what about for you?
I want men to be real, and I want them to come on a level of such clarity and honesty. And I don't want them to fake the funk. I want them to be real, and I want them to give us a conversation in regards to, God, Arlo, you stink. That's not it. But oh my God,
this is it. We can't do this with him in the room anymore. We can't. It's bad.
terrible.
Oh my God.
Oh my Jesus.
Poor baby.
Crawled inside of you. Why?
She said, I tasted.
But no, what I want to know is I want to know what actually is the real reasons, and I know there's multiples, on what drives men to cheat.
Ooh.
And I want us to have a steady conversation, and us as women be able to actually listen and hear, because it's 50%. Usually it's 50%. In my case, in my own experience, that's what I will speak on. I know what caused my significant other's indiscretions. And I can be bold enough and be honest enough now, looking back and saying I played a role in that. You know what I mean? Whether it's not being attentive to what was going on or my partner's needs, or not being the initiator, which is a hard thing for me. You know what I mean? So that's what I would like to know. I want to know the men talk.
So we have a couple of men,
Yes.
including my hubby.
Yes.
Who is going to sit down and talk, about some of these real deals, because we did experience some turmoil in our
Yes.
relationship, and we're at a place, we've been at a place where we can speak about these things.
Yes.
And we might also do a call in to a gentleman out in California who is going through right now, who's in it right now.
Wow.
You know, and then some that have either maybe it's been accused of and actually hadn't, because there's mistrust in the women,
Right.
But also maybe just temptation in general, you know, because
Yes.
that is definitely evident.
How do you stay
everywhere.
faithful in a room full of hoes?
Dang.
Baby.
Dang it.
Find out.
So that is going to be next time, okay, on Between the Sheets.
Between the sheets.
In between the sheets.
Are we ready to break, guys?
We're ready.
There we go.
I gotta get out of here because you
Keep stinky, Sticky Arlo, Sticky Arlo, shake your tail.
You woke her daughter up out of her sleep because you stink.
Shout out to Brielle.